So I have been trying to learn Blender geometry nodes so that I can make a whole bunch of cool stuff kind of like this. And let me tell you, geometry nodes are super confusing. But this isn't a video about geometry nodes. This is a conceptual video. It's my different approach to learning anything creative because I am a very creative person and I have been forever, and there's so much that I want to do. But when I approach something like geometry nodes or graphic design or something big that I don't understand, I really want to learn it, and I've never really had a good way of thinking about how to learn these things. So I just came across an idea that I've been testing out, and it's been working really well for me. So I want to share it with you guys, and hopefully it'll be useful to somebody else. I'll take this Blender scene as an example because this is a system in Blender called geometry nodes, and basically, without getting too much into it, it's a node-based workflow that allows you to control geometry or the objects in a 3D environment. And let me tell you, it's very confusing. This is a very simple node tree, but this gets huge and wild and crazy and confusing. And so one thing that I've been doing is sometimes tutorials don't work for me. I don't really learn much from them. I've done plenty of geometry nodes tutorials for Blender, but by the time I reach the end of the tutorial, I don't understand hardly anything. I don't understand the thought process behind why a node was placed there or why the settings in the node were set the way they are. And I know that it's like that for a ton of different things, like following a tutorial for how to draw a cat or something. They make a stroke and you're like, why did you draw that stroke and how does it look so good? So there's been a disconnect between what is happening in a tutorial and what I need to do to understand and recreate it and actually learn it and understand it. So what I've been doing is it's a little bit more of a self-education type of thing. So what it is, this method is you come up with something you want to create. As you go about your day and your life, eventually you come across an idea, you see something on social media or you see something in real life and you're like, I want to draw that, or I want to make that, or I want to design that. So what you do is you set out to design it. For example, this scene here, I just saw somebody else make this scene and I was like, okay, I want to learn how to do this on my own. And so what that means is I have to go out and research, how do I create a grid of cubes? And then when an object approaches it, how do I scale the cubes to 0 so that it can pass through and then close up on its own? I have to go research that and figure it out in order to make it happen. And another aspect of this is just messing around, coming to these dials and playing with it and seeing what happens, because messing with some parameters completely changes the look of these things. So if I do something like this, for example, I don't know, this completely changes the look of it. Now they are created out of thin air, which is cool. So it's an aspect of look for something you want to do and research how to create it, and also play with the tools that you have. Here's another example that might be helpful. There's these really cool like graphics that people make where they're showing the nodes and the anchor points of a logo. And this is my logo, for example, and it's like it's pretty cool. And you might look at this, say it's cool, and then I would say, how do I make this? How do I do this for myself? So you do some research, you try to figure out, first of all, what is this type of thing called and how do I make it? And you might come to discover that there's a thing in Affinity called scripts, and you can create scripts and you can add community made scripts to create this for yourself. And then you can find a script that does this for you. So for example, I'm going to use this script to do what I just did over there. I changed some of these parameters here, and we're just going to click this off, set this to that just in case. And now look, we've created that effect. Just by lowering the opacity, we have the same thing now. So the way I try to approach learning something creative is through play. I want to find what's interesting to me, what strikes my attention, what did I see on social media that I was like, that is cool, and try to recreate it. And what that's going to do is that's going to stretch you and make you learn things and go places you never thought you would. And it's honestly a whole lot of fun. You just got to be okay with maybe your results don't turn out very good, and that's just how it is. But then if your results aren't good, do it again. Do the exact same thing again and the second iteration, sometimes things can turn out much better. So that's just a thought process for how to learn things creatively. A couple other pointers to help you if you want to do this is there's usually documentation for the program that you're wanting to use. So if you wanted to learn Blender, there's documentation for how to use Blender. If you want to learn Affinity, there's documentation for how to use Affinity. If you want to learn DaVinci Resolve, there's documentation on how to learn DaVinci Resolve. But you have to have a project in mind, and then you have to go create the project, and you're gonna run into a wall. And when you run into that wall, you should rejoice. Sounds kind of cringe, but like that's a good thing because that means you just get to learn something new. And when you learn something new, it means you get to create more cool stuff kind of like this. Or at least it's a new tool you can add to your toolkit to make even cooler stuff down the road. So go find something you want to create, run into a brick wall, and then hurdle that brick wall like a champion. This is kind of a conceptual video. I hope it made sense of what I'm trying to say. Thanks for watching. Peace out.